is our July Refocus, and this has been amazing already. Today is the start of day 2, and I am already down 3 pounds. And so your body can absolutely adjust very quickly. And it's not anything earth-shattering that I did. And it's something that I think is really cool to know that in 24 hours, you can drastically shift the trajectory of where you're going. And so is it something that I would do all the time? No, but when you're like, man, I am off, I'm not feeling good, it's good to know how long it takes your body to reset to where you notice you're going where you want to go. And so I am Taryn Leiker, and if we are just meeting, it's nice to meet you. But you are hopping in on our day 2 of our July Refocus. We're doing this as a group to really make sure that we establish and redefine what it means to live a healthy lifestyle. And so today's tip is actually very fascinating. So I woke up this morning at 7:49, and to my shock, I did not set an alarm. And so that can be very frustrating. It can be awful, but here's what I've learned. That anytime I let something that should be unsettling unsettle me, especially when I'm on a reset for my mindset, there's something that I do instead. I basically make sure that I don't let anything get me off track of where it is that I want to go. And so what I suggest is when you are starting something new, when you are doing a reset, when you are doing anything to reset your mind, your body, whatever that is, you have to be very clear and keep it in front of you of what are your deal breakers? What are the game changers? What are the most important things? If you have this ridiculous list of 100 things, that's bound to fail. But I don't know about you, but as soon as you set your mind and you focus on something that is different than what you're currently experiencing, what's going to happen is you're going to be tested. You're going to have every reason to abandon ship, quit, be done with it. I don't know why, but that is something that the second you want to go to a higher place or a better place for you, you will be tested with it. So when I find that things like this happen, over my last 11 years since 2012, I've learned that the second things try to get me off track, it's a really good thing, because when I get to the other side of that, that's exactly what I want to experience. I will be better. I will be stronger. I will accomplish the goal, and there's no stopping me, because I almost look for that at times. I'm not seeking it, but I identify it as, oh, I was waiting for you. I knew this would come, instead of, oh my gosh, this is terrible. So number 1, be clear and identify what are your deal breakers and what is the most important thing. So for me, I want to reset my system physically. So my supplements are a deal breaker. My food intake is a deal breaker. I'm not getting off track of my plan. I can adjust. Like yesterday, I thought I had a berry blend, but I miscommunicated with my husband, so he got frozen berries instead of fresh berries. He did get fresh cherries though, so I just ate the fresh cherries because I wanted fresh produce for this. Did I yell at him? Did I whine? Did I complain? Did I have an attitude? No, I just ate the cherries. And so there are things that I can adjust, but without justifying. So key thing, be willing to adjust without it becoming justifying. So for the cherries and the berries thing, it didn't matter. As long as I'm eating fresh produce, then I'm good. And I can go get fresh produce for later on in the week if I need to. Do I want to go to the store 8 times? No, I really don't. So I'm also not going to make a pattern of doing something that I'm not accustomed to that gets me wins. If I'm in the grocery store more than twice a week, we are getting off in our budget and probably are eating as well. Can you relate? So pick and identify what is important to you. My water intake is extremely important. But when you're off, this is such a beautiful thing. People are like, oh, today was terrible and I don't understand why. And it's just awful. And they freak out. Oh, those are some of my favorite days. Now, not great to like emotionally go through them. However, what I basically do is I have 2 different versions of me that day. I have the one experience the crap, and then I have the one that is documenting and basically experiencing everything and taking notes, as if your best friend was watching you go through HELL and they're taking notes so that you can be stronger on the other side, because what you're seeing is what can get you to cry, what can get you to break, what can get you to be frustrated, what can get you down, and starting to really pay attention to that list, start to recognize it. Okay, what does a lack of sleep, what does oversleeping do for me? Because people have experienced both of those things already in this short time. So let me give you an example. Take notes. So I didn't set an alarm. I then grabbed my device to try to figure out what was going on. Because I hadn't set my alarm, I did not put it on do not disturb mode, which meant I had messages, which meant I started to check messages, which meant that I was distracted, which meant my heart rate went up because I felt behind. I felt like I had failed. And when my heart rate went up, then my cortisol level went up, which when your cortisol increases, what is happening? That is messing with your hormones. It is also going to accumulate weight on your hips, thighs, and waist. I don't need my cortisol to go up, nor is there any reason to. I have flexibility in my time. I wasn't late for anything. So it's resetting. So I could have been frustrated, but do you see all the frustrations? And so what I did is I wrote down the frustrations and the lies that I believed. Okay, I didn't set an alarm. I was lazy and I'm not accountable. Neither one of those things are true. My device, what I learned very quickly is that I get distracted, and so I need to approach the day versus the day approaching me. So it's very important for me to have a little checklist before I go to bed in my nightly rhythm. I've been washing my face. That's not like me. So what I'm also identifying is that I will do well with a nighttime unwind pattern. I have an Aura ring that actually has been telling me that it's been taking me longer to settle down at night. When I do things like this for the groups, I'm in front of a ring light, I'm in front of a device later than I normally would be. And so what happens is it stimulates my brain. So it takes me longer to fall asleep, and then I'm not getting the quality of rest that I need to. And then I start to, over time, it wears me down. So one of the things I identified is if I'm going to do these, and I do love it, hopefully you love it too, is I need to have a nighttime routine that basically takes my brain from go mode to rest mode. And so one of them is going to help my skin because I'm going to wash my face. I listened to praise and worship music last night, which also gets me more time with God, which I love. And then I had a book that I could read so that it calms me instead of stimulates me like a device would. And so I recognized what was not serving me and started to put things into place. Well, on that little checklist of my nighttime routine, I can make sure I set my alarm and set that I am not disturbed until I turn that off. And so that would help me to make sure I wake up on time. I also learned this. I do much better at staying on track if I start earlier, like that 7 a.m. time is perfect for me because then I get the water in, I'm getting all the supplements in. I feel like I have more time because the less time there is between that morning when I wake up and the noon time to where it's really time to start putting in food, I need as much time as possible so that I don't stress about that because I feel bogged down by water. I feel bogged down by a lot of liquids. And so I want to avoid that, but I also really, really want how I feel on them. And so I'll do some things to adjust today, but water will be the thing that I will take past noon, if that makes sense, instead of my supplements. I will get my supplements and those liquids in because it's a lot of liquids in the morning. But what I will do then is my water intake, I will spread out later in the day so that I get it all in, but I don't feel overwhelmed because I have a shorter amount of time. So you can see how just that pattern of, okay, what happens when I wake up later? What happens when I've been distracted? To think that's not going to happen again is a joke, right? So I'm not looking for perfection here. I'm looking for progress. And so what this is teaching me is forget that I'm even on a July refocus here. I'm not redefining my health at this, or say I'm doing this a year from now. And we happen to be on vacation. And I know that we're getting ready to go on an excursion. I know how important it's going to be for me. Say we have an excursion, I'm not going to have access to a bathroom to pee. I know I need to start my morning earlier, so I need to go to bed earlier the night before, be ready so that my mindset is going to be ready. That's not one of those mornings that it's like, don't set an alarm and then just let things happen as they will, because that could be frustrating for me. So do you see how these times are actually like a boot camp in a lot of ways? Not a boot camp and getting your act together. Honestly, it's to learn by shifting your pattern. What are your patterns? Are your patterns and your habits getting you where you want to go? Or how can you adjust those habits to make sure that your deal breakers, what you really want, is what's happening? And that's what I keep seeing in this, even in a short couple of days, because I know we're only on day 2, but I've been prepping this mentally for you for a little bit longer than that. I've been thinking about it for weeks. So I've been identifying different things. But another tip is, when you're in that mindset, when you've already gone into that pattern, number 1, take the notes, but do something that is a fast win. And I'm not talking that something that's just, oh, well, that's good enough. Find a fast win. And so, for example, now I'm trying to find a fast win. Okay, because you've got to reset your mind and you've got to have a huge win. Okay, so this is what I did. So my workout, what I'm gonna do is make sure that I get my full 30 minutes of active movement, but what I plan today is not gonna happen if I'm gonna stay on track with my work schedule today. And it's not just my work schedule, it affects Reese. And so I'm going to do my workout, but I'm going to go to the sauna, and the infrared sauna right after, and that's where I'm going to do a lot of my win the morning, win the day. That's where I'm going to do my journaling. That's where I'm going to read. And so not only am I doing something physically amazing for my body, if you haven't done an infrared sauna, you really need to, especially with light and sound therapy. And then I am going to read. So I'm combining 2 things by adding a bonus. So that's a fast win for me. So I hope this has been helpful, but I would love to hear your biggest ahas in the comments. And then please feel free to share this with anybody, like and subscribe. But it has been so fun, and we are just getting started on this journey. And so it has been awesome, and I hope you have a fantastic day. And just remember, be clear, know what your deal breakers are, and if you find yourself in a pattern, take the notes so that you can learn from your own experience, because it's the best way to actually change what it is that's happening in your life. And go find that fast one. Cheers.